Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar where we're going to take a look at what's new in Dynamics 365 sales and customer service in this year's Wave 1. Let's just first do a quick introduction, and then we're going to go through all of the changes that Microsoft has prepared in this first part of the year. Okay, so let's start like this. So basically, my name is Andrej Černivec. I am working for BE-terna. We are one of the largest implementators of Dynamics services in Europe. I hope you have heard of us. If you haven't, if we are not already collaborating, please look us up and maybe we can help you solve some of your business issues or optimize something. Now, during the presentation, you have a Q&A session open, so feel free to enter any questions in there. I will try to answer all of them at the end of the session if something will not be clear. Otherwise, you can reach to me directly after the session with any kind of questions regarding new or old functionalities. Of course, you can see my contact info here. You have my email, you have my LinkedIn address. You can add me to LinkedIn via QR code, so I am reachable and feel free to contact me. Okay, so let's dive right in. So if we start with what basically this Dynamics 365 release waves are and why are they called release waves for some of you if you are new and don't know that. So basically Microsoft publishes a big batch of updates 2 times a year. And usually this happens in the start of April and in start of October. So currently we are expecting this big wave of new updates that will be released on April 1st this year. Now the Microsoft way of doing things is that they basically publish everything that will be done sometimes at the end of January or the beginning of February, like a large document when everything is described in details. And they provide us with these preview versions of new functionalities. They are usually published to test environments, let's say late February or at the beginning of March. Now, to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed this year when I was going through all of the new stuff, because although Microsoft has prepared new stuff and some great new functionalities, a small part of this was actually in this, let's say, preview package. So basically today, we'll try to be as visual as possible. We'll try to take a look at how the functionalities will actually look like, but there are some functionalities where Microsoft just provided the description, so we will kind of have to use our imagination and wait for them to actually be published. So maybe just an explanation why this is called a wave, because not all of the functionalities will be applied to you in environments directly on April 1st. Microsoft actually releases these updates in kind of batches when they are available, when they are ready. So you will get some of the new stuff on April 1st. We'll get some of the new stuff in June, in July, and so on, and this will continue until September. And of course, in October, a new batch will arrive, and we'll take a look at this then. Okay, so let's dive right in. Just for better viewing, I will just remove my video so you can see the slides better and you can see the functionalities better. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so basically for each release, Microsoft kind of tries to explain what was the vision for this wave, what were they trying to improve, and what were the focus points for this batch of updates. So in Dynamics 365 sales, this year, Microsoft is saying that they were focused on saving your time, specifically, of course, to make everything quicker, smoother, and better for salespeople. Now, Microsoft knows that there is a lot of tasks, appointments, tasks, emails, calls, everyday stuff that each salesperson needs to do. So what they try to do here is to kind of offer them better user experience, everything in one place. They can do stuff with lesser clicks. They have automation, so the CRM, the sales module, will actually do some stuff for them, so they don't have to do it or think about it, and to make the general experience in browser and in mobile better. The second point was to have intelligence at your fingertips, and by that they mean they actually take the data that is in the system and try to help salespeople with decision making. Now, we are not talking about some big strategy decisions. We are talking about small everyday decisions, whether you need to contact your potential customer via email or via call. Do you have to do a follow-up on a certain opportunity, or do you have to wait? Stuff like that. So basically, Microsoft will try to suggest the next best action and try to make life easier for the salespeople. And of course, the third point, helping you on the go. This is a batch of updates that is focused on making the mobile experience better. Although we are still, of course, in Corona times, and on-site selling is not a big pain point right now, I'm sure that everything will come back to normal quickly. And when it does, I'm sure that all of these updates will be really, really good for salespeople, because pretty much we do all of our stuff on mobile phones today. Now, for the customer service part, they weren't so descriptive. They only said they were trying to enable customers to be up and running quickly so that everything is set up with one click. And they were focusing pretty much on contact center. They are trying to make all-in-one contact center, so you have everything in one place and easy to reach, and you have a great view over every activity. And they were trying to transform contact center routing. Now, there are some updates that are general. By that, I mean they are applicable not only to sales, not only to customer service, but pretty much every model-driven app. And we'll first take a look at these updates, and then we'll dive into sales-specific updates and customer service-specific updates. Now, in the general improvements, I think we have one of the biggest, or the biggest update in this batch, and that is improved global relevance and search experience. Now, as you can see on the screenshot, the ones that you are currently using Dynamics 365, you will notice that there is a big search bar on the top of the screen. This will be now visible at all times and easy to reach. And the good thing is that when you click on this search bar, you will actually get a personalized drop-down where you will see your recent searches, where you will see your recent records. So you basically can repeat the search or access a certain record that you just visited with one click. The second very good thing is that you actually have support for searching as you type. That means that when you will start to type something, Microsoft Dynamics 365 sales module will try to, basically any model-driven app will try to auto-complete the search, so you can find your records basically with just a couple of characters. You don't have to type in the whole thing. Now, when you find something, as you see on this screen, you basically get results in these kind of sections, and then you get these little buttons. I hope this is visible on the screen. In our example, we have cases, email templates, and accounts, and these buttons are actually quick actions that you can trigger right from this search screen. So for example, in case, we have assign, we have add to queue, we have share. In accounts, we have link via email. So the most common tasks that we can do directly from this window. And again, this is meant to make life easier, to make everything quicker and with lesser clicks. Now, once we use these actions, of course, another window opens and we can do that action from there. But if we try to search anyhow, so if you want to get detailed results, when we hit enter, we get this redefined search page where we have a new structure. And in my opinion, this structure is really great. It's easier to find the records that we want, because usually, personally, when I'm searching something in our system, I'm searching for a specific record, either opportunity, either account, or either contract or something like that. And I want to filter directly to opportunity. So for example, now that we get search results, we have these tabs at the top. You see them here. and we can actually just select account or opportunity or something like that. Now, the first step is usually where we will find already what we are searching for, because these are the top results. It shows 3 top entities and up to 20 results for each entity. Okay, so if we take a look at the second part, here we have, for example, one of these entities. Here we have opportunities. 4 are shown. If you click show more, you will get additional opportunities and you can scroll through them. Okay. And of course, in this new search experience, new search page, you also have this, let's call it quick actions. So you can select a record here also, and for example, email a link or assign a record to somebody or do some kind of action. So I think that is really great. Other than that, Microsoft even improved the experience with, let's say, a bit of intelligence. So now if you type your search query into the search window, you can actually use common language, which means that, for example, if you will type open tasks, the system won't search for tasks which have a open word in them, but you will actually get all of the tasks that are in open status. Or if, for example, you search BE-terna in Germany, you will get accounts named BE-terna that are actually located in Germany. And even if you type in a synonym or if you have a typo in your query, because Microsoft now implemented fuzzy search, the system will try to correct this and find your correct record anyhow. Okay, so if we go back to these quick actions that we see here on the screen, we have a bit of an explanation here what we can actually do. So for account and for contact, we see that we can assign, share, or email a link directly from the search page or the search, let's say, the quick results that we see on the top of the window. If we have tasks, activities, like appointment task, a phone call, of course, you can mark them as complete. You can cancel them so you don't have to open a certain task. That's, I think, really useful, or set regarding to attach it to a certain record. If we have an email, again, we can set regarding directly from the quick results pane or the redefined search page. If we have any other custom table or entity, as we used to call it, we can still use these actions, and they're the same as for account and contact. So we can basically include any custom entity in this search, and it will appear as any other entity. This functionality will be available on April 21st, and it's now actually already available, one of the few features that is available in the preview version, so you can play with it. And of course, Microsoft did not forget the mobile client, so you get this new search on mobile app also. Here we see 2 examples. We see that when we try to type a couple of letters, we already get the results, including all of these letters. And if we just open this search, you see we have recent searches, we have recent records, so the experience is pretty similar to the one on the desktop. Now, sticking to the mobile client, there have been some pretty great improvements for the mobile app and for the tablet app, of course, also. Now, if you look at the screen, you see the tabs on account record. We have summary, project price list, and so on. Now, I don't know if you remember, but in the older version, you only had 2 tabs, and then you have 3 dots, and you need to needed to open that and select a tab, and it was really a lot of clicks to get to information. Now you have all of the tabs visible, and you can just scroll them left to right and select the tab that you want and get to your desired information quickly. Subgrids on mobile clients were also redefined. They are now more visible. They are separated from other data on the form. And if the subgrid is empty, you have a nice button for new record. In our example, we have new quote. So you can easily enter something, a related record on mobile client also. Search was also redefined. And I don't mean that global search that we were talking about before, but search, for example, in a certain view. So now you have this search bar at the top of the view. Here we have active accounts, and you can easily search through the records or some related records if this is a subgrid. And the last but not least, we have a new menu for all of the additional buttons that are not visible on the first screen, and we have this nice animation. This menu comes from the bottom, and we can access all of the features quickly. Now the next function that I will present, I think, is also one of the biggest in this release, and that is model-driven in-app notifications. Now, I really had a lot of conversations with our clients where we always got the same questions: how do we handle notifications? And there was no great solution for this up until now. We usually handle this by preparing great dashboards where you can see all of the upcoming activities or on all of the upcoming tasks. We would handle this by using Power Automate to send emails regarding something to notify the customer or to push notifications to the mobile and such. But now we have actual notifications inside the model-driven app. And this looks like on the screenshot. Now this is again not available in the preview version, so these are screenshots provided by Microsoft, and I hope that this will actually look like on the screenshot. In the top right corner, you see we have a pop-up that says account updated. And these notifications are user specific. That means that only the user that is intended to get the notification gets them, and we can push these notifications either from external systems, either through Power Automate or within the system itself. And of course, if you're not online at the moment, if you don't get the notification, we have a notification center. So this is basically a sidebar that we open on the right side, as you can see on the screenshot, where we can just scroll through all of the notifications and either do something like in this case that we have on the screenshot, open account, or just dismiss the notification. So it pretty much works like notifications on, let's say, Windows 10, when you have this notification center and everything piles up there. And this will be available in June 2021. Okay, so now let's dive right into the Dynamics 365 sales new updates. Okay, and let's see what we have here. The first thing, minor, but I think it's still kind of nice, is that Microsoft added a new section called Personal Settings. You can find it here on the bottom left corner. This is one of the preview functions. And what it does, it basically gives each user a new, let's say, workspace where he can manage all of the personal things, like, for example, signatures, email templates, the content cards that are being shown by assistants, and so on. So now you can see how this, let's say, personalized center looks like. Currently on the left side, we only have these three things inside: email templates and email signatures. But I'm sure that in the future, Microsoft will add things in here, and it will be easier to manage everything for a specific user. This functionality will be available on your environments in April 2021. Now, the next functionality is interesting, but sadly we don't have a preview, so we can only imagine how this will look like. And basically it's divided into 3 points. The first one is sequence automation. So basically what I imagine this functionality does, as Microsoft described it, it is tries to do some actions instead of the salespeople. It tries to basically automate some processes that are being repeated, let's say, on each opportunity or in some step of the sales process. And of course, as we saw at the beginning, the idea is to help salespeople be more efficient and to minimize the work. So basically, as I understand here, correctly, similarly to as we have marketing automation, here we will have some kind of sales automation where you will actually define the steps in sales process. So for example, if we have an opportunity that's in a certain step, and we know the next step is to send a follow-up email or something like that, this sequence automation will actually be able to send this email to the customer without sales person doing pretty much anything. So that is what Microsoft, I think, means by adding email automation support, personalization of email templates, and anyhow, this sequence automation. The next point is sequence forks, which indicates that as part of this process, basically you will have the ability to define different outcomes based on the previous step, which means that the system will try to intelligently figure out if the next step is to send a follow-up email, or to create a task for a salesperson, or create a call for a salesperson, or maybe wait a couple of days or something like that. So basically, you can divide your process into different streams, similar as to, let's say, marketing automation, or as how we have business process flows currently in Dynamics 365. And the third point is sequence listener, which means that we can actually wait for some events to happen. We have triggers and then do some action. And in this case, what Microsoft mentioned is listeners for email engagement. So you can check when you are sending an email to a potential client. Let's say that you are sending an offer. You can wait if the client opened the email, if the client click on the link that you send, if the client view the attachment, and that listener can then be a trigger for action. Let's say, send a follow-up email. Thank you for checking the offer. Do you have any questions or something like that? The next functionality, again, not available in the preview, but will be available in production on June 2021, is personalized work queue. Now, the point here was that, again, salespeople have a lot of things going on. They are juggling between different tasks like calls, appointments, email, and so on. And what Microsoft tried to do was prepare a view where all of these activities will be in one place. A salesperson can easily filter, arrange these, let's say, activities, and can do them in some kind of priority. So this is how I imagine that this personalized work queue will be implemented, and this will all be as a part of a new seller's view that Microsoft is preparing. And again, it's not really a part of preview function currently. So the next thing is seller KPIs and manager dashboards. We know that we already have dashboards for salespeople. We already have dashboards for managers. So I presume that this is just the next step to improve everything. So basically what we will get a new dashboard where managers will be able to check things like number of active leads, the conversion ratio between leads and opportunities, leads by sources, leads by sellers, and so on. Maybe the benefit here is that we will have some functionalities out of the box, like comparing certain periods in this year and last year and so on, that we did not have currently. And it will be easier to define sellers' KPIs, and it will be easier for them to check if they're on target. So by KPIs, I mean like the number of qualified leads, calls, or meetings, and such. So basically the idea is that the status will be easily visible using these new KPIs and manager dashboards. The next functionality is advanced editable grid. Now, again, we already have an editable grid as a functionality in Dynamics 365, but maybe the problem with the current editable grid is that it's not really too customizable. Once you set it up, you can't do a lot of stuff that you can do on a normal subgrid. But with this advanced editable grid, you will basically get a lot more flexibility. This advanced editable grid should be a part of a new workspace that will be called Deal Manager Workspace, and is intended for salespeople to have an overview of opportunities and to just easily edit opportunities in this editable grid. So you will be able to easily do stuff like filter, sort, search, even reorder data in the grid. You will be able to show or hide columns on the grid or add columns on the grid. You would be able to add aggregations of course, in numeric columns. And that's my favorite. You will be able to actually run business logic on the grid actions. This will be available in June 2021, and I'm really looking forward to how this will look like and to test all of these possibilities. Then if we mention kind of visual aspect of Dynamics again, we will get new visual charts. There will be 3 out-of-the-box charts, bubble funnel and bar chart. And the great thing here is that these charts will be interactive. They will work as a filter. So basically, when we will implement them with one click, salespeople will be able to filter through their records, opportunities, accounts, and such. Again, this is currently not yet available, but will be available in June 2021. And we have a kind of new panel that Microsoft envisioned. Now, we currently in Dynamics have a side panel that is being used, let's say, for example, quick create. When you're trying to create a new record, a panel pops out from the right side of the screen, and you can just enter the data and create a new record quickly. Now, I imagine that this side panel will be similar, but you will actually have additional abilities, like, for example, actually editing records, not just creating them. You will have access to key activities and actions, and you will actually be able to drill down into the data. So, for example, Microsoft is giving us an example where you are working on opportunity, and for example, you want to create or trigger a task right from the opportunity, or you want to, let's say, drill down on the account data. Currently, you would have to open the account in a new tab and then drill down there. Obviously, you would lose focus and you won't see the opportunity, but now you will have everything in one screen. And when you are done, you will just close the side panel and move on with your work. This will be available in June 2021. And if we are sticking a bit with this record side panel, you will actually have actions and activities that can be triggered from this grid. So I think this will be a nice feature. So basically, when this grid, basically the side panel pops up, you will be able to trigger some actions directly from there. And again, Microsoft envisions this being used when you are going through your opportunities, where you are going through your client list, and you kind of have to trigger actions like next meetings, calls, emails, or things like that, and you can do that easily from the record side panel. Now, we were talking a lot about this new views, new dashboards, new charts, and this is how it should all look like. This is actually a screenshot provided by Microsoft, and Microsoft says that we will be able to navigate to this new view, which is called Deal Manager view, and we will be able to just click on a new sitemap entry in a sales hub. This will open up, and the point is that everything that we need to go through our opportunities will be available here. So as we can see right now, this is basically divided into 3 sections. On the top, we have a numerical representation of how our current pipeline is going, what is expected, what is already closed, what is committed, what is the base case, and so on. In the second part, we have a visual representation. I think this bubble chart is really nice because on one axis we can see, I think it has the probability of the opportunity, and then we can directly see the size of the opportunity and where it is on the timeline. So we know what is expected of us in the next days or weeks and so. And on the third part of the screenshot, we can see this opportunity list. Now, this is basically that editable grid that we were talking about before, I presume, and a salesperson would be able to quickly scroll to the opportunities and change data right there in this subgrid. So for example, it will be easy to change the estimated revenue if we have new info, or change the estimated close date or status and stuff like that. Again, this is not available as a preview, so we can't play with it. We only got this screenshot, but it will be available on June 2021. Okay, so this kind of sums up the Dynamics 365 sales specific updates. And now let's take a look at what was a part of Dynamics 365 customer service updates. The first one is a scheduling improvement. Basically, we have a scheduling module in customer service where we can schedule work orders, cases, and stuff like that, pretty much any entity that we define there. But the problem is that we don't know if that person is really available because we don't have a overview of their Outlook calendar. We don't know where specific other appointments are on his calendar. And now the problem always was that the person who was doing the scheduling had to take this into account manually. Now Microsoft has actually added appointments as data that is included in the core scheduling service, which means that you will actually be able to see the appointments on the scheduling board, and the person who is doing the scheduling will know the exact availability of each resource, so there will be no overlaps, and obviously this will optimize the whole process. This will be available in June 2021. Now, if we stick a bit with the scheduling, some of you who are using this scheduling, or maybe field service module or something like that, know that we have a old and a new scheduling board. Basically, what Microsoft did is it redesigned the complete user experience, made this new schedule board quicker to load, nicer to look at, more organized, and so on. But the problem that currently we have is that not all of the functionalities that are in the old schedule board are currently in the new schedule board, so it's not completely functional. And Microsoft tries to add these functionalities one by one with each release. Now, in this release, we got weekly and monthly views. This basically just means that we can use the new schedule boards to actually have an overview what was planned in 1 week, what was planned in 1 month, and we can see the weekly view here on the screenshot. It's pretty similar as the functionality in the old scheduling board, but obviously with some tweaks and a nicer look. And this will be available in April 2021. Now, I don't know how many of you know this. It was part of previous releases. We got a new interface for customer service agents that is actually focused on handling multiple sessions, multiple, let's say, cases or something like that at the same time. And on the left side, you have sessions. On the top, you have tabs. Currently, this functionality works like this. You had this home screen that we can see on this screenshot. You can open dashboard, subgrids, whatever. Usually, you have a list of your cases. And then if you wanted to open a case as a new session, you would actually have to hold down a shift button. If you wanted to open a new tab inside the session, you had to hold down the control button when you were clicking on the link. And obviously, if you forgot that, you had to close the record again, do it, and it was kind of a mess. Now, what Microsoft did is actually put this as the default behavior. So if we now look at the screen, we have one open case here, and is now as let's say a customer service agent, I click on this case, a new session will actually be created on the left side for this case, and it will look like this. You see we have an additional line on the left side, and now we have details of the case. And now the point is that we try to solve this case, and we need additional info, let's say, regarding the customer. we have a lookup here. And obviously, if I want this to be part of the same session, so now if I click on this link, another tab will be opened with the customer details. So we have everything inside a specific session. If we go back to home and click on another case, another session will open and so on. And if you create a new record, for example, if you click on new case, again, automatically another session, new session will be open, and we can do tasks and activities specific to that session related there. This will be available in April 2021, and it's already available in preview, so you can play with it if you put it on your test environments. So let's see here, if we did a click, we get another tab. Okay, and then we have one of the last updates, configuration enhancements for timeline. You know that the timeline is pretty much the central part of most of the forms, and that you can actually filter all of the activities, because obviously sometimes you want to just look at emails, sometimes you just want to look at appointments or certain statuses on open and so on. The problem is that you have a lot of these filters, a lot of this stuff, and you always need to click and wait for it to load, and then enable some filters to get the data that you want. But in real case scenarios, you usually use the same filter on a certain record. You usually use the same filter on accounts, same filter on opportunities, and so on. Microsoft now actually added the option to configure this, so administrators can actually select and set default filters on a timeline. They can remove unnecessary filters and visually configure everything so that it's easier for users to see, and of course to speed things up and make the user experience more comfortable. So of course we are talking about this central part in the screenshot where we have all types of activities. And this will be available in the first batch, which means it will be available in April 2021. And then we have another usability enhancement in timeline. So I don't know if you know this, but Dynamics has a feature where you can actually use @ and then type the person's name, and it will be linked in the actual post. Now, this was currently only available when you posted a record, when you created new post. Now, Microsoft is improving this experience. So if you look at the screenshot, you will see how this looks here. This is a functionality from the old system, because again, we don't have a preview, but this will be available when you are adding notes also. So basically you can just click new note, type @ and just type a person's name, select it. And again, I think we can use all of these new updates and probably do some notifications or something like that. And this will be available in April 2021 also. Okay, and this is basically what Microsoft has provided to us in this batch of new updates for Dynamics 365 sales and customer service. Now, this was focused on user experience, on what you will actually see and notice when these updates are applied to your current organizations, your current environments. There are additional, let's say, updates and new functionalities that can be used in the background for administrators, for developers. We did not touch those updates in today's session. So if you're interested in that, you can contact me, or of course, check it on the Microsoft website or documentation.